There was a time when Ma Ganga did not flow upon the earth. She flowed only through heaven, while the world below longed for even a single drop of her sacred waters. But how did the holiest river in the world descend from heaven to earth? And who was the extraordinary king who achieved what everyone believed was impossible? This is that incredible story. At that time, when Ma Ganga flowed only through heaven, the earth patiently waited for her blessings. In the glorious solar dynasty of Ayodhya, a young prince was born. His name was Bhagirath. Even as a child, Bhagirath was different. His heart was filled with endless curiosity, and he wanted to understand everything around him. Whoever he met, he always had another question. Sometimes he questioned the royal soldiers, sometimes the palace cooks, sometimes even the elephant keeper. Everyone smiled and said, "Our young prince never runs out of questions." Why does this happen? How did that happen? One day, Bhagirath wandered into an old wing of the royal palace. The walls were adorned with magnificent portraits of his ancestors. He admired each one carefully. Then something unusual caught his attention. The sacred lamps beneath the portraits still burned brightly, but the flowers placed before them had withered. The room felt strangely silent, almost as though an ancient sorrow had never truly faded away. Unable to understand, Bhagirath turned to the royal priest. "These ancestors are worshipped every day. So why does this place feel so quiet?" The royal priest remained silent for a moment. Then he looked at the young prince and said, "My prince, if you truly wish to know the truth, come with me." Together, they left the palace behind. They crossed dense forests. They climbed towering hills. After a long journey, they arrived at a peaceful place. Bhagirath looked around. Everything was silent. Then his eyes fell upon the ground. Before him lay enormous fields of white ash, stretching farther than the eye could see. So much ash. How did it come here? The royal priest's eyes filled with tears. "My prince, this is not the ashes of a battlefield. These are your own ancestors." Bhagirath stood frozen. "My ancestors?" The priest took a deep breath. Many years ago, King Sugur's 60,000 sons set out in search of a sacred horse that had mysteriously disappeared. Their search eventually brought them to the hermitage of sage Kapila. At that very moment, the great sage was deep in meditation. But without thinking, the sons of King Sugur accused him of stealing the sacred horse. The peaceful hermitage was thrown into chaos. Slowly, sage Kapila opened his eyes. The divine power of his tapasya illuminated every direction. The earth trembled. The princes were terrified, but it was already too late. In the very next moment, the sage's divine radiance reduced all 60,000 princes to ashes. Tears filled Bhagirath's eyes. Will their souls never find peace? The royal priest nodded gently. They will. But there is only one way. What way? The priest looked toward the heavens. Only when Ma Ganga descends from heaven and her sacred waters touch these ashes will they finally attain moksha. Bhagirath stood silently, gazing at the endless fields of ash. It felt as though his ancestors were still waiting for someone to set them free. Slowly, Bhagirath folded his hands. For a moment, he felt as though every one of his ancestors was looking at him with hope. Taking a deep breath, he declared, "I give you my word. No matter how difficult this journey becomes, no matter how impossible the world believes it is, I will bring Ma Ganga to the earth." At that very moment, a gentle breeze swept across the valley. Bhagirath looked toward the heavens. Beyond the clouds, it seemed as though a sacred river was waiting for him. The tears had disappeared. Only an unshakable resolve remained. That very resolve would one day make Bhagirath a name remembered for all time. The very next day, Bhagirath left the royal palace behind. He removed his silk robes. He set aside his gold and silver ornaments. For one last time, He looked back at the palace that had been his home. Then, with a gentle smile, he said, "I will return, but not for myself, for my ancestors." From that day onward, he was no longer living as a prince. He had chosen the path of a tapasvi, alone. He journeyed deep into the forests. After searching for many days, he found a quiet mountain. Towering trees surrounded it. A cool breeze flowed through the valley. The sweet songs of birds filled the air. It was here that Bhagirath began his great tapasya. Days passed, then months, then years. Yet Bhagirath remained completely still. Tiny plants began to grow around him. Creepers slowly spread across the rocks. Birds perched fearlessly on his shoulders. Even a little squirrel would sit beside his feet, peacefully nibbling on seeds. Gentle deer wandered close to him, without the slightest fear. But Bhagirath never opened his eyes. Then came the scorching summer. The blazing sun burned his body. Still, he did not move. The monsoon arrived. Dark clouds gathered overhead. Powerful winds swept across the mountains. Rain poured without mercy. Yet his tapasya remained unbroken. Then winter came. Snow covered the land. Freezing winds cut through the mountains. But Bhagirath's resolve stood firmer than the Himalayas themselves. Even the gods in heaven watched him in amazement. They said, "Such extraordinary tapasya has been performed by only a handful of souls." At last, one day, something miraculous happened. The entire sky began to glow with golden light. The fragrance of lotus blossoms filled the air. The silent mountain seemed to come alive. Birds resting upon the trees burst into joyful song. Every corner of nature seemed to welcome a divine guest. And then the creator of the universe appeared, Lord Brahma. Without a moment's delay, Bhagirath bowed with folded hands. Lord Brahma smiled. "Bhagirath, your tapasya has borne fruit. Tell me, what is your wish?" Without the slightest hesitation, Bhagirath replied, "My lord, my ancestors can attain moksha only if Ma Ganga comes to earth. Please, grant her permission to descend." A smile spread across Lord Brahma's face. "Bhagirath, a selfless king like you is truly rare." Hearing those words, Bhagirath's face lit up with hope. But in the very next moment, Lord Brahma's expression grew serious. "There is one great problem." Bhagirath looked up in surprise. "A problem?" Lord Brahma replied, "Ma Ganga is no ordinary river. She is the divine river of the heavens. If she descends to earth with her full force, her mighty current will shatter mountains, change the course of rivers, and drown the entire world." The smile slowly faded from Bhagirath's face. He asked anxiously, "Then, is there no way?" Lord Brahma smiled once more. "There is, but only one deity can stop her tremendous force, and that is Mahadev. If Mahadev agrees to receive Ma Ganga in his sacred jatai, only then can her holy waters reach the earth safely." Without thinking for even a moment, Bhagirath folded his hands once again. His voice was steady. "Then I shall seek the blessings of Mahadev." Lord Brahma smiled. "Your determination is truly extraordinary." With those words, he disappeared. Not even for a moment did Bhagirath allow himself to rest. He immediately began his journey. Toward the mighty Himalaya, high among the snow-covered peaks, stood Kailash, the sacred abode of Mahadev. From a distance, Bhagirath bowed with folded hands. Then, he closed his eyes and began the greatest tapasya of his life. Days passed, then months, then years. This time, the tapasya was even more difficult. Icy winds swept across the mountains. Violent storms raged without end. Everywhere there was nothing but snow. Yet, Bhagirath never lost his focus. His heart held only one prayer: "Mahadev, please have mercy on my ancestors." At last, one day, something extraordinary happened. The entire mountain of Kailash seemed to come alive. The divine sound of Om, echoed in every direction. The gentle rhythm of a damru filled the heavens. A radiant light spread across the sky. And then, Mahadev slowly opened his eyes. His magnificent jatai rose like the peaks of the Himalaya. Around his neck rested Vasuki, the divine serpent. Upon his forehead, the crescent moon shone brilliantly, and within his calm eyes, it seemed the entire universe existed without hesitation. Bhagirath bowed at his feet. Mahadev smiled. "Bhagirath, your devotion has pleased me. Tell me, what do you seek?" With folded hands, Bhagirath replied, "My lord, my ancestors can never attain moksha without Ma Ganga. Please receive her within your sacred jatai, so that she may descend safely to the earth." For a few moments, Mahadev looked silently at Bhagirath. Then he smiled. "Your purpose is not for yourself, but for the welfare of others. I will help you." Joy returned to Bhagirath's eyes. With deep reverence, he bowed once again before Mahadev. At that very moment, Brahma went to Ma Ganga. He said, "Gange, the time has come. You must now descend to the earth." Ma Ganga smiled. There was quiet confidence in her divine power. In a calm voice, she said, "My lord, my current is so powerful that if I descend with all my might, how will the earth ever withstand me?" Brahma smiled. "Mahadev is waiting for you." Ma Ganga looked down from the heavens. Then with all her divine power, she rushed toward the earth. Her mighty roar shook the clouds. Lightning flashed across the sky. It seemed as though the heavens themselves had become a gigantic waterfall. The gods watched, holding their breath. No one knew what would happen next. But Mahadev remained perfectly calm. A gentle smile rested upon his face, as though he already knew what was about to happen. As soon as Ma Ganga reached him, Mahadev simply unlocked his vast jatai. In the very next moment, the entire river disappeared into his endless jatai. Not even a single drop of water reached the earth. She had descended with all her power, yet not a single drop had reached the earth. Inside the endless maze of Mahadev's jatai, Ma Ganga searched for a way out. For the first time, she realized that even her immense power was nothing before Mahadev. Watching this, Bhagirath understood that the journey was not over yet. Once again, he folded his hands. With complete devotion, he prayed to Mahadev. "My lord, the earth still awaits Ma Ganga, and my ancestors still await moksha." Mahadev looked at Bhagirath with quiet compassion. Then he gently smiled. Very slowly, he loosened a single lock of his sacred jatai. At once, a gentle stream of water flowed out. The mighty torrent had become a calm, life-giving river. The waters sparkled beneath the sunlight. Every mountain echoed with her joyful song. The earth welcomed Ma Ganga. For the very first time, the rishis smiled. Flowers rained down from the heavens. Birds filled the sky. Even the winds seemed to celebrate her arrival. Without wasting another moment, Bhagirath began walking. Ahead of him flowed Ma Ganga. Together, they continued toward the place where the ashes of King Sagar's sons had waited for countless years. Then the holy waters of Ma Ganga gently touched the ancient ashes. The instant her sacred waters made contact, a brilliant divine light spread across the entire valley. From the heavens, the gods showered flowers. The great rishis praised Mahadev, Ma Ganga, and Bhagirath. From that day onward, Ma Ganga became known not only as Ganga, but also as Bhagirathi. True devotion, endless patience, and a selfless purpose can make possible what the whole world believes is impossible. Har Har Mahadev, Ganga Maiya ki Jai.